Ladies and gentlemen, this is Charlie Kundalini and the Skullman, here interviewing Michael Telstarr.
So, Michael, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your bio?
Well, for one thing, I used to be an escape artist, and I guess that entails that's a big question. But I used to be an escape artist. I was a hypnotist, painter, and right now I've been on the psychic fair circuit for 25 years. So I've done a lot of different things.
Have you ever had a job unrelated that helped you with your career?
No, I've actually done. What I've done now, mostly self-employed. You know, I've worked in security for 7 years. The only thing that I really liked about that is that I worked once at the Old Don Jail, and it's about 162 years old, and I was there stationed for 6 months, and I had the graveyard shift, and a lot of guys who had done the shift didn't stay there for very long because they swore that there was, you know, unusual noises, sounds, and things like that. So a lot of guys would actually leave at around 4 or 5 in the morning. And my supervisor knew that I was interested in the paranormal. I think I'm only 19 here. And so he gave me the position. I loved it. I had the graveyard shift 12 to 12, midnight to 12, and I had a lot of great experiences. So that really, I wasn't afraid. I just loved it. That was probably the best assignment I had, and that really opened my eyes a lot to the paranormal.
Did that experience make you fearless?
No. No, there's a difference between being fearless and crazy, right? Let me put it this way. I did have fear, but so long as I knew they couldn't hurt me or kill me, the ghost, you know, or whatever it was there, I experienced a lot of things. And nobody can get in that Old Don Jail. The door was like a castle door, so nobody can get in. So I knew if I was experiencing anything like footsteps walking up to me and this and that, you know, it was, you know, nobody can get in, right? But it didn't, no, I had a lot of fear, but I just didn't let it bother me.
What made you want to become an escape artist?
Well, that's a good question too, because when I was very young, I think about 6 years old, I used to went house to house, door to door, and I used to knock on the door and I used to say, "Do you have any?" I said, "Do you have any old broken locks? Do you have a broken lock or anything like that that doesn't work?" And they'd wonder, well, what the heck's wrong with this kid, right? But they gave me some locks. All right, so I was fascinated the thing about what to do with locks. I got a good collection of locks. I do that in the street where I lived. And people would give me locks, and my mother, you know, found it a little odd, you know, but I figured, well, I liked the way the locks looked back then, right? You know, they were a little different, you know, so I read my first book on Houdini when I was 9 years old, all right, and you know, and I really admired this man, and, you know, truth to be known, right, I mean, I really admired the man, and I liked the fact that he could get out of any predicament, any situation, escape from anything, so I tended to start to emulate him, and then I became professional when I was 17.
Was there any other escape artists either than you or?
No, Houdini was the main escape artist I had read about. Houdini's name, Houdini, Eric Weiss. By the way, he passed away on October 31st, 1926. So he had a show to do that night too when he passed away. But he pretty well, you know, I pretty well idolized him, and I read about a lot of his escapes, and then I, you know, practiced the techniques and emulated them, and I didn't do too bad.
Was there any other celebrity that you held in high regards?
Well, you know, you're growing up, right? I really like Star Trek a lot. You know, I like Captain Kirk, you know, William Shatner. You know, I like some of the older movies. You know, I have a taste, you know, for the old 60s and 50s stuff. But basically, I found that, you know, I liked a lot of stuff, but you know, it didn't really motivate me for my escapes, but I did like the stuff that was out of this world, let me put it that way. The time tunnel, you know, things like that.
Is it true you were born on February the 13th?
No,
Friday.
Friday the 13th.
Is that true? You were born
yes,
on July
yes,
Friday
absolutely,
the 13th?
yeah. I have 2 birth certificates. I was born, we don't know, but I was born either a minute before or after. And I have the 2 original certificates, and for some reason the Roman Catholic minister, they had stamped the one that said the 13th. One was for Thursday, July 12th, and the other one was Friday the 13th. So that one was stamped. So it was so close to midnight, you know, and I don't know why the minister would do that, but he did. Right? So that's true, yeah. A lot of cultures, Italians think Friday the 13th is good luck, right?
Yeah, for in Italian
And
culture,
some
13
places, yeah.
is a very lucky number.
But some places it's very unlucky.
Exactly. How did that affect your life, knowing that you were born on Friday the 13th?
Well, I don't know. You think it's either going to be very good luck or very bad luck. So it might have been a mixture of both. Other than that, though, I guess I got to try to turn it into a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm. What did you call yourself as a performer?
Well, when I was growing up, I read comic books. I love comic books, right? Everybody loves comic books. I was a big comic book collector. One comic book was called Scotch Free, right? Mr. Miracle, Scotch Free, Master Escape Artist. And this guy came from another world, right? So you can say he was kind of an alien, but he came from another planet. He was running away, right? He was a fugitive because he was a prisoner in his world. He escaped, came to this planet, met an old man whose name was Scotch Free. And this old man was being shaken down by the mob, you know, and he was doing some big shows. So what happened basically is that he befriended him. The old man died doing a stunt that was fixed, you know, sabotaged by the mob. And then the young man took his identity as Scotch Free, and he became a master escape artist. So I liked the comic book so much, I took the name Scotch Free. And I was the first Scotch Free. There might be other guys out there now, but I was the first one. You know, if you go back the records 30 years, you'll see the newspaper clippings. So I took that name and I kept that for about 20 years.
Have you ever had the mob interfere with your performances?
No, but I wish I had. Well, I know Frank Sinatra. Look, if they own some stuff, they have a nightclub and they want to book me, that's fine, right? I don't care. So long as the money is green or the money is there, that's okay. I'm not going to be, you know, how will you know it's the mob or not anyway, right? How can you know? But I don't know, that's a trick question, eh? But anyway.
Yeah, well, the mob did make Frank Sinatra a multi-millionaire.
Well, lots of other guys too.
Famous.
Lots of other guys too. He's one of the rare cases where he lived to talk about it, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you don't know of everybody.
Do you believe that you have had contact, first-hand contact, with an extraterrestrial being or beings disguised as a human?
I went to Fort McMurray when I was 10 years old. My father took me and my three sisters. My mother had separated from him, and I really wish he had come up with us, but we went up there at Fort McMurray, Alberta, and small town. I think there's only a few thousand people when we went up there. We're talking about few decades ago. And I did have some very good visualizations, some very good sightings during the daytime and the nighttime in Fort McMurray. And I didn't think nothing of them. You don't think nothing of it at 10, 11, 12 years old, right? And at that time, I did have some unusual, extremely unusual occurrences that happened, which I could not explain. So, you know, today I would say, well, was it a certain sort of an encounter? Probably yes. You know, and I had several of these things, ships that I seen, look like not a helicopter or a plane, but some object, maybe within a mile away, coming down behind some trees. And I tried to get there to where that object was. I tried to make a beeline. I tried to get there, but I could never find it.
Do you think that the woman that you are with right now is a human or an alien?
Well, I hope a little bit of both. Let me put it that way. Maybe a little bit of both, eh?
Yeah.
Too human, too alien, not too good.
Yeah. So, Michael, how old were you when you started realizing that you were different from everyone else?
Well, you know, you don't think you're different when you're having experiences when you're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, right? I was having some experiences that I tell my father, for example, and you know, you just thought it was, you know, dreaming, you're talking to an invisible friend. A lot of people have this, you know, and they don't realize it, you know, not that particular situation, but they don't realize that if they're having experience, you know, it feels natural and normal. So you automatically think everyone's having it. When I found out, though, that my schoolmates were not having it, that's when I started to wonder. So I'd have these dreams of being bilocated, right, split in half, being there and being here at the same time. And I tell my dad about it, right, and he took it seriously, obviously, because of what happened after that.
Did you have many friends as a child?
No,
and teenager?
No. I had a lot of friends as a kid, but when I hit school, grade 7, 8, and 9 were difficult because for some reason I couldn't bond with people for some reason. And I'd have a big book, you know, a 10-pound book on magic, literally a large book, you know, like this, and they'd see that. And I wanted to be friends, and I was friendly. But for some reason, I'd be friendless for the whole year. I might have 2 friends one year in school. And then one year I started doing tarot readings in grade 10, and I became very popular.
What area did you grow up in?
I was in Toronto. I went to Sacred Heart, French Canadian, and maybe part something else, who knows. And then was in Fort McMurray for 3 years, Alberta, and then came back over here in Toronto. So I'm, pretty well in Canada all my life.
Can you speak a bit about the experience when you were 15, when your father took you to the Clark Institute?
Yeah, that's a little hard to talk about sometimes. Sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's hard. But at that point, I'd been telling him about some of my experiences. He'd gone away. We had a house. My job was to collect the rent from tenants, and he'd gone away, and sometimes I'd tell him what he was doing, thinking that this was a natural thing. So he thought it was something was not quite right with me. Now, I was already performing, doing magic. I was doing kid shows, as an amateur, doing parties here and there. And he told me one day he had an agent for me to go see. So I went in the car. I was excited. I went in the car, and we drove along, and we stopped at this place. Now, this place was called the Clark Institute. It's known as the CAM-H today, right? And I saw the place, and immediately I knew about it, right? Without knowing a lot about it, I knew what kind of place it was, okay? So he took me there, he tricked me, and I went in there. And I wish I hadn't told my father what was happening, but he basically was concerned that there was something wrong with me. So for 3 hours, I had 4 people. There's 4 people there. 3 men and 1 woman, and each one of them was interviewing me, talking to me for 3 hours. My father was out of the room. And I realized that if I wasn't honest with these people, if I tried to lie to them even once, or tried to pretend to lie or whatever, that they would see it and then I'd be in trouble. So I made a decision, and I was scared, by the way. I was really frightened, okay, because I could have, I was frightened about staying there as a patient. So I realized that I have to be honest. So they asked me about 100 questions in 3 hours. Very personable questions, do you like girls? Do you do this? What do you like? What's your hobby? So on and so forth. So I answered everything truthfully, right? Looked them in the eye. I was scared, and maybe they saw that too. And then my father came in after I finished, and I went out for half an hour. Then the both of us came in. He said, Mr. Godbout, right? We got good news to tell you, right? And your son is emotionally all right. He's emotionally mature and he's fine. I was really happy to hear that. See, they asked me 100 questions, but they didn't ask me the right questions, or they didn't ask me about, where I told my father I was able to maybe see beyond a wall with my eyes closed or something like that. And they didn't ask me that, but they asked me all these questions. And then said to my father, your son's fine, but we would like you to come back in tomorrow. So we'd like to find out why you think there's something wrong with your son. So you can imagine what he said to them after that. He swore at them left and right, can't repeat it on the camera, told them F this, F that, you SOBs and this and that and everything on the camera. And I was kind of laughing and crying at the same time. And he just blew and showed the way he was. And I'm sad that happened. But they want him to come in, and of course he refused. He says, my son tricked you. He's smarter than all 4 of you put together, which is not true. I did not trick them, I told them the truth, honest truth, but they interviewed him for half an hour, or it might have even been an hour. So they knew there was something quite not right, and unfortunately he didn't go back in, and maybe if he had, our relationship would have been different.
What was your relationship like with your dad?
It was hard. I mean, after that point, it became very hard. I couldn't trust him. Right. I mean, I thought it was terrific up until I was 14, 15. After typically there, it was difficult. Kind of went downhill after that.
So your dad
disowned me at 21 years old. Yeah. I told him at 18 or 19, leave me alone. Don't bother me anymore, because he used to take the money. I mean, I was booked at the exhibition. Can you imagine this? He got me a booking at the exhibition for 21 days, right? I was doing 5 shows a day. The Upside Down Straitjacket Escape. 5 shows a day, 21 days, all right? There might have been a couple days where I didn't do all 5 shows, and there was other performers with me that I still don't to this very day. Well, I was supposed to get $21,000 for that, and he got nothing for that because of my father.
Did he take your money?
I don't know. That's the exhibition never told me. I never knew what happened. I just did those shows and never got sent. And it happened again 2, 3 times. When I told him I wanted to be left alone, I kept in touch with him for 2, 3 years, and then he told me he disowned me. That really, really, really bothered me a lot. really affected me a lot what he said, I disown you. And I was calling him probably on his birthday or Christmas, you know, and he hadn't talked to me, you know, for, you know, really, and I've been keeping it, and it just affected me very bad.
Do you think your father stole money from you?
Well, yeah, I guess, I mean, it's a harsh term to use, but, you know, obviously the money went somewhere. So, I mean, he'd get money and pay me. But for the you know, he would take a large chunk of my money. And so he was my manager for a while. But I didn't want him to be a manager or my agent, you know. And he took the money and ran, because the 21 days of the exhibition, first day he helped me, the second day I was on my own. He never came. He was helping with the crane, hoisting me upside down. So I had a couple of good friends, fortunately, that were really good friends that helped me out. And they basically volunteered to put me in the jacket and hoist me up, you know, and everything. But he disappeared on the second day. But I never got hired again from them, the exhibition. No matter how I tried, and agents tried to book me, they said, your father, he put such a bad taste in their mouth, they just won't book me anymore. Still affects me today. It's the past, though.
Tell us about your mother.
Well, my mom thought I was a little bit crazy, but she understood what I did, so she liked it a lot, but she wouldn't go see me when I did my dangerous stunts. She'd never go see me.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
I had 3 sisters. They thought what I did was terrific, you know. Some of my less dangerous stunts, they'd all come and see me, you know. So, you know, they respected what I did. I told them that it'd be dangerous if anyone tried it, but if you know what you're doing, there's always an element of danger, right? But if you know what you're doing and you got all your, you know, your cards covered, then you're okay. But there'd be, you know, every now and then there'd be an accident or something, but fortunately it was only minor.
Can you tell us an experience of one of those accidents? Can you give us a rundown on...
Well, I was doing my water tank stunt at a crime show convention, and
Can you give us the year
I was
and
doing,
the show?
It's probably 1981.
Okay.
And I was doing my straitjacket escape upside down. And I did, I think, 4 or 5 escapes that day, and it took me a little longer to get out of the 5th show. It took me a little longer than normal to get out of it. Sometimes I'd have volunteers strap me in a straitjacket. So sometimes they might have put it a bit too tight and I didn't expand my chest enough, right. You know. And so I bursted a couple of blood vessels in my eye, and my eyes started bleeding. So that was kind of an odd thing to happen, you know. And of course, to me, it felt like tears, right? But I escaped, and when I got out of that, and I got out of the straitjacket, they lowered me down. I was paralyzed for about 2 hours. They took me to the hospital for that. And they wanted me to keep me in, but I signed myself out because I had another day to do, you know, tomorrow, you know. So I guess just, you know, the blood pressure built up too much. You know, couldn't see too clearly, but it covered up overnight. And so I signed myself out and went back the next day.
So that didn't slow down your career as an escape artist?
No. You have accidents. There was a couple other close calls where I did the 10th plunge escape, where I escaped from a boat. You can see it on YouTube. It's a boat, and I had my legs were shackled, and I was handcuffed and straitjacketed, and the boat was towed out, and I had a 3-minute timer where the bomb went off. Well, everything was covered. I had scuba divers, I had the bomb squad, the harbor commissioner, bomb specialists. The ambulance, paramedics was there, and I had 2 scuba divers in the water. But I didn't anticipate when the thing blew off and I escaped and went underwater. I didn't anticipate the explosion, the shock wave of the explosion. So it's a pretty big explosion if you see it on YouTube. So what happened is that it knocked all the breath out of me, and it pushed me down to the very bottom, 25 feet.
Wow.
And I expected to slowly go down to the bottom, right? Because I had a large weight belt on as well. 30-pound weight belt with all this stuff. And so if I didn't have the 2 scuba divers there, right, you know, 1 is good, but the 2 of them was extra caution. If I didn't have them there, I probably would have drowned. Because when I got knocked to the bottom, I had no more oxygen. And I was still escaping. My feet were restrained to the boat, but I had all these other restraints I was getting out of. But I didn't have enough energy to get back to the top. So they brought me to the top, and then I did my escape there, finished my escape, and then I swam to shore. That was my closest call.
Do you think the audience were aware of you having these issues?
No, they weren't. No, they knew something was wrong, but they didn't know what happened. Right? When the scuba diver, one stayed above, one came below, then, you know, they saw what happened. You know, they brought me up. He had an extra oxygen thing, which he gave me right away. had no more oxygen at all, right? I had enough air to last me for 3 minutes in my chest, but that bomb thing, boom, just when it went, man, it just reverberated and it came through the water, shock waves, and I felt it, and it just literally pushed me right to the bottom.